speechless as she explained that her success was not fueled by their name, their money, or their power. It was fueled by the love of the very woman they had once dismissed as just a servant. Eliza introduced Clara not as a nanny, but as the only true parent she had ever known. In that moment, the daylight seemed to shine brighter, as if the world itself was acknowledging her triumph. What she did was shocking, not because she sought revenge, but because she showed grace. She didn't return to beg, nor to boast. She returned to say she no longer needed their approval. She had found her worth in kindness, in resilience, and in love. And while her parents looked on with shame, Clara's eyes filled with proud tears. The little girl she had once carried away from those gates had come back, not broken, but victorious. As the story of Eliza sinks deep into your heart, if you believe kindness and resilience can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support keeps these stories alive and spreading light into the world. And now I have a special request. Before this story ends, I want you to pause and leave a comment below. What would you have done if you were in Eliza's place? Would you forgive, or would you walk away forever? Your words could inspire someone else who is struggling today. Because at the end of the day, in the bright light of life, what truly matters is not the wealth we inherit, but the love we give, the kindness we share, and the courage we find to rise after being cast aside. Eliza's story reminds us that even when the world turns its back, love can light the way. And sometimes, the greatest family we ever know is the one we choose. The sun was blazing down on the marble driveway of a grand mansion, its white pillars gleaming under the broad daylight. But the scene unfolding at its gates was anything but bright. A young girl, no older than 10, was kneeling on the ground, her clothes smeared with dust, her small, trembling hands clutching the straps of an old bag. Her parents stood tall above her, their faces cold and unyielding, their expensive suits gleaming under the noon light as if the world revolved around their power. They looked down at her as if she were nothing, nothing but a mistake. The girl's soft voice broke into tears, pleading for another chance. But her mother's sharp words echoed through the open gates, "You're dead to us. Don't ever come back here." Those words pierced deeper than any blade could. She had been cast out of her own home, rejected by the very people meant to love her most. The tall gates closed with a heavy clang, shutting her out of their lives forever. But what no one expected that day under that unforgiving daylight was that the story wasn't ending there. It was only beginning. And before I go further, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps keep these heart-touching stories alive, reminding the world that kindness can change everything. The little girl's name was Eliza. At just 10 years old, she had felt the kind of heartbreak that could crush even the strongest spirit. Her parents were powerful business tycoons obsessed with status, perfection, and appearances. To them, Eliza wasn't enough. She wasn't the flawless daughter they wanted to display at dinner parties or show off to their wealthy friends. She was quiet, shy, and often clumsy. And her gentle heart didn't fit into their world of ruthless ambition. And so, without hesitation, they discarded her like she meant nothing at all. The only person who rushed to her side as she stumbled down the driveway, sobbing, was an older woman, her nanny, Miss Clara. Clara had been with her since birth, the only one who truly cared. And in that moment, Clara took Eliza's hand and whispered, "Don't worry, child. You still have me. I'll never let you go." Those words became the fragile lifeline Eliza clung to as she left behind the house that should have been her home. Life from that day forward was anything but easy. Clara was not wealthy, not powerful, not connected. She lived in a modest little house on the quieter side of town, far from the marble pillars and gleaming cars of Eliza's old world. But within that simple home, there was love. Clara worked double shifts as a cook, sometimes cleaning houses to make ends meet. She made sure Eliza never went to bed hungry, even if it meant skipping meals herself. Eliza, broken by rejection, struggled to smile in the early years, often crying herself to sleep. But Clara's gentle songs, her warm hugs, and her unwavering belief in the girl slowly began to mend the wounds. It wasn't wealth or status that healed her, it was kindness. Still, Eliza's journey was filled with struggles. At school, she was mocked for wearing second-hand clothes. While her classmates flaunted expensive backpacks, Eliza carried one Clara had patched countless times. But instead of breaking her spirit further, these hardships lit a fire in her heart. She began to dream not of wealth or grandeur, but of proving her worth, of showing the world that being kind, resilient, and true to oneself was more powerful than money could ever be. Clara noticed this spark and encouraged it, saving every penny she could to buy Eliza books, supporting her as she pursued her education. Years passed, and Eliza transformed from that tearful, broken little girl into a determined young woman. She excelled in her studies, driven by both the pain of her past and the hope of a brighter future. Clara, though aging and growing weaker, never stopped standing by her side. She was there when Eliza graduated high school at the top of her class, there when she won a scholarship to university, and there when Eliza began to build a life for herself. The girl who had once been told she was nothing was slowly becoming someone extraordinary. And then came the day, 12 years later, when Eliza decided it was time to return. Not as the broken child who had been cast out, but as the woman she had become. It was a clear afternoon, the sun high in the sky, much like the day she had been abandoned. She stood once again at the gates of the mansion, but this time she wasn't alone. Beside her was Clara, now older, her hair silver, but her spirit still strong. Eliza's eyes didn't carry tears anymore. They carried strength. She had come back not for revenge, but for something far greater. The mansion gates opened, and out stepped her parents, still as polished and proud as ever, though the years had etched new lines on their faces. At first, they didn't recognize her. The girl they had abandoned was now a confident young woman, her posture tall, her presence commanding. But when realization dawned, shock flashed across their eyes. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the daylight air. And then, as expected, her father sneered, dismissing her return as a spectacle. But Eliza didn't falter. She had come to show them something shocking, not with anger, but with the truth of who she had become. She revealed how, despite their rejection, she had built a life of her own, earned her way through education, and now ran her own charity foundation dedicated to helping abandoned children. She had turned her pain into purpose, giving hope to those who had none, offering the love she herself had been denied.